Reincarnation. It's real reincarnation. So what happens is when your spirit leaves your body, it can either do one of two things. It can either go to the plane, so in other words, they cross over to the next plane. We can still communicate with them, as I mentioned before in the other videos, or they can stay around the plane that we're in now, sort of thing, which is where you see ghosts. But if it crosses over to the other side, and then for whatever reason someone's about to be born, and you've agreed with the council that, or that spirit, should I say, has agreed with the council that they're happy to go back into another body instead of moving on up another plane, they come back, and so your past lives are still inside this energy, or water droplet as I was calling it, but energy, and then that comes into the next body, and once it's in the next body, you then have sometimes feelings, sometimes intuition from the previous people that inhabited, so the person before you. So what's really interesting is birthmarks. Now, birthmarks, I don't know if you're aware of this. There's been a lot of correlation between birthmarks and the death of the person previously. So that means, for example, there's so many cases, but one child said that he was some sort of gangster in the 40s and he was shot in the head. And this child described it all, described the right person, and they found the right person who he was. And lo and behold, exactly where that child had a birthmark was where he was shot in the previous life. Now, there's a video here, it was really good. I think it was a BBC video, you can find it online. And it was a boy that from Glasgow that remembered living in a place called Barrow, which is still in Scotland, but slightly, I think it was an island off of it. And he described the house, he described his sisters, etc. Cut a very long story short, unless you want to watch it. They basically tracked it down, and pretty much everything he said was correct. So reincarnation is a real thing based on everything that we are aware of and the logic that I've already said in the other videos about how the spirits work. So I hope you're enjoying these longer videos now. Thank you. Okay, so unfortunately you may have died in an accident and your spirit is leaving your body. Instead of staying around here, it decides to cross over. Or you decide to cross over because you're basically conjoined with it. So you cross over, but turns out sometimes, you may have heard these stories, sometimes your light beings, the ones that have been following you and making sure that you're on the path that you originally agreed with the council, they can actually turn around and say, no, it's not your time, because to them, they can see the past, present, and future. So they know that you wasn't supposed to die at that point. So if at all possible, they send you back to your body, even if you're actually banged up really bad. So sometimes you also hear the stories of where people hear an inner voice before the accident, or sometimes a hand, you may see a hand turn the steering wheel, and that is your spirit inside coming out to work. Hell, Satan, Antichrist, Bill Gates. We're looking at what happens if you are inherent evil. So not the spirit's evil, but you corrupting the spirit inside you, and you are a very, very evil person. So what happens there is when you cross over and you pass on, you die, that spirit, which is obviously conjoined with you, still has your traits and your personality, etc., and it gets put in a group, basically, or an area where other bad people are, and that's done because the good light beings don't want to be hanging around with the bad light beings. So there isn't a hell as such, it's just a lower, what they call a lower frequency. So all the people or spirits that's now got a lower frequency, thanks to the evil that people do, they're in a different group. Orbs or light beings, be careful, sometimes you think that dust is an orb, but it's not. But you can actually summon orbs outside or inside. You take a photograph, you ask for a spirit to be there, and then when you look at the photograph back, you may actually see the orb. Some people have said that they've seen faces inside the orb. Be careful though using night vision cameras, because they're perfect at picking up orbs, but they're also really perfect at picking up dust that looks like orbs. But you can tell by the way that an orb would move on a video camera. But look at this. This is a crop circle being formed by orbs. Now, if you say it's fake on this post here, I will block you. Sorry, but you have to wait till I start to talk about crop circles. When I get to that point, then you can debate it with me. But if you say it's fake now, I'm just going to block you and you won't be able to see any other videos. So watch this. This is 2 orbs creating in the UK, and I will prove that it's genuine. But for now, just there you go. This is going to have a nice ending, so please just keep watching. So if you have a baby that passes before it was born, sort of almost full term, you're probably thinking, well, hang on, what's the point of having a spirit go into that baby if the baby doesn't learn anything, or the spirit doesn't learn anything because it passed before? No, you've got to remember there's the soul group. So probably the mother or the father was one of the soul groups, and it's their learning experience, not the baby's. It's their learning experience of what it's like to lose something. Anyway, but from what I understand, when a baby passes over, even if they can't speak, they actually still grow on the other side, so they have language. So when they're talking to clairvoyants and mediums, etc., they can look older to the clairvoyants, etc., and have the ability to use language and speech, and they know what you went through, and they can feel empathy for you. So it's a happy ending.